We are here today with Geek Speak, like usual. So I'm Pip, Seymour Digital Media,
I'm Rena, Little Works Indie Media.
and today we are talking about what targeting based on interests looks like on Facebook versus what it looks like on Google, and just getting into that discussion because I think this confuses a lot of people, and we both are experts in our area, so why not help people, right?
Yeah, so I guess, and that's pretty interesting because I had gotten and organized the original title for this live, and I chose the wrong title just because I didn't really have a good grasp on how it works on what things are called on Google.
You're
So,
not the only one though, and I get confused too, right? Because I don't
yeah,
do the Facebook ads, and there's so many options in Google, and there's, like,
yeah.
people use phrasing like programmatic advertising just off the cuff. So what was the word? It's, interest-based advertising,
Yes, that's right.
right? And interest-based advertising can be like, so what you're interested in, and you can do that on Google in several different ways, like, you can and on Facebook, I think that's an actual category of audience, is it not?
Yes, that's correct. So it's so doing it by interests is how we talk about it on Facebook, and what that does is it actually organizes people. You could call it keywords, but interests are the keywords that people are interested in. So it's not only interests; it also includes things like job titles and whether or not your parents and what the ages are of your kids. You can segment based on those things, but that is the interest section, which is different than if you're targeting according to lookalike audiences or a website traffic. And that's the thing that I'm trying to distinguish from because website
Mm.
traffic is really excellent to utilize when you're retargeting, when somebody's already familiar with your company or you've had that first contact with them.
Yeah.
But how do you get that top level, that top funnel? How do you get those people to your site, you know?
In the first place?
Um, yeah, because you can organize according to organic SEO, but we both know that's a fairly
Yeah.
long game. That
Yeah.
can be a long game. So
It is a
how do you
long
do
game.
it
It
quickly?
can, yeah, yeah,
Mhm,
yeah, and
yeah,
it can start quickly, but you have to like, there's so much that goes into it, including competition and what they're doing. So,
yeah,
you're always playing that game, but with Google Ads, there's a bunch of different things you can do for audience targeting. Like, with search ads, you can just do keywords, right? But you can also do targeting based on some interests, like, you could section out the
yeah,
parent too. You could do it for search, you could do it for display. Right?
yeah,
So just there's 2 networks on Google. There's a search and display. So
yes.
the display network is like CNN and every other website on the planet, right? It could actually be YouTube and Facebook, and that's where you can retarget to in the
Mhm.
display. And it's so interesting because they are quite similar when we start really breaking it down.
But they actually function quite differently in my mind. Like you don't get the same results from using each the same way. That's what I'm trying to say. For example, Facebook will find you through interests on Facebook mostly,
Yeah.
and Google will find you through interests on Google mostly. So how does that affect the kind of traffic and the results that we get? Because I find when I run interest-based campaigns on Facebook and interest-based campaigns on Google, they won't perform, and, um, and it doesn't mean that one is better than the other. I used to actually think that one was better than the other. I always used to say Facebook is way better when it comes to interest because they collect so much more data. They have so many more things that you
Touch
can
points that
choose for
you're there
interest.
longer.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, exactly. So it has the data for interest that works very well. And that's been my default. We did some tests when with interest based ads on Google. Kevin did them for me, and we tested all of our clients. And most of the accounts didn't do very well with interest based targeting. And
Interesting.
yeah, and
See, that makes me wanna ask so many questions because 'cause I'm like, because if Kevin and I got in a discussion, it would be
you
like,
let me
"Okay." Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
go on.
I wanna finish that one sentence, and then let's open that up. I think that's super good. So, we had almost all the campaigns, n didn't do very well with interest-based, except for one, and we have this one random campaign that's generating more leads for us or more traffic on the website than the keyword based ads
Interesting.
and the based ads. So it's so odd. So this to me it always tells me that you have to know where people are in the funnel, and when people are in a top funnel scrolling on Facebook, you're more likely to interrupt them and get their attention with something
Mhm,
that they're interested in. Versus when people are on Google, they're usually on a mission. They're usually searching
mm,
something in particular. They've already got something in mind. And
mhm.
sometimes those interest based ads won't catch them at that level, but the retargeting will catch them at that level.
But wait.
Okay. And now you tell me what
Oh,
wolf's faring. I
I'm
want to
so
hear about it.
excited. So
I know I can feel you bursting.
It's I'm like, okay, so interest-based ads, like if Kevin did so with Google Ads, because WordPress, where they give you a lot of options, and with interest-based ads, so I am betting donuts to dollars, so I might have to buy you some donut, that Kevin did PMax. So what Google's done is they've created a Performance Max campaign that they're trying to replace display advertising and retargeting potentially, and Performance Max would be interest-based because of how it works in the Google Ad system. Or Kevin could have also done display advertising, and we could actually catch people with display advertising at top of funnel when their interest-based ads on Google would be, like, targeting if I'm a connoisseur of restaurants and I like restaurants. I might see, like, when I'm
Yeah.
reading a blog about restaurants, I might see an ad, a display ad, and so that's how Google would hit you at the top of the funnel, that way with
Yeah.
interest-based ads. So there's kinda 2 options. I think the video or the display ads would be more specifically targeted for interest-based ads, because you could have to go specifically after specific interests, right?
Yeah.
Which is always interesting. You can also do advertising, like going after specific websites like CNN or something. I
Yeah.
find that really interesting. There's that kind of ready. And Google is trying to compete, I think, a little bit with Facebook with their
Yeah.
lookalike audiences, their customer match list, which is you get your client to
Mhm.
give you a list, and clients are all nervous about this because 'cause they're like,
Yeah.
we don't want to share information." But you're not. We don't actually touch it. We upload it into the system, and then Google does matching.
Find you. Yeah, and
Yeah.
the interesting thing is that so does that work? So the email list for Google, does that only work with Gmail and Google Workspace email, or is it all email? How does
Ooh.
Google have everyone's
Ah.
email? That's what I
Well,
wanna know.
they don't. You give them the email list, and the computer does the rest.
Yeah, how
So
does the
you
computer find the person, though? Do you see what I'm
To
getting at? It's
look
not an
alike the other
IP
person,
addressing point.
it probably matches some criteria. That is a very good question, though.
Yeah, but
They
yeah,
don't
that's
tell
the
you.
I don't yeah, but there's no way. Like in Facebook, I know that they match the Facebook accounts to the email accounts. So if you've added that email account to your profile at any part in any way on your profile, then Facebook will match. It will look for that and see if it matches any profiles,
Mm,
and then it will target that profile. But that's what I'm asking for Google because okay,
they
because
would match it
Google
to a profile because you have your review profile from your Google Business profile. You have your you have one. We all have our own profiles on Google too. It's Google Me or something, but it's not Google Me. It's like
no,
About
I
Me.
didn't know. I don't
Yeah,
think I knew
yeah.
knew that.
Yeah, and you attach all your assets to that,
What if you
right?
have no assets then?
Well,
Like, what if you
most
have
people have a
what if
website unless they're, like, younger than not allowed, or people now have more than how many
because
people
of
do you know
Google
with more than
Analytics.
one
I see
website?
what you mean. I see what you
Yeah,
mean. Yeah,
but
okay. So it is going through Google accounts. It
yeah,
can only go through Google accounts. It's not gonna find an Outlook email or a Hotmail email or I don't know what other kind of emails.
yeah. There's something don't search about me, it's something different. I'll find actually the thing. It's like your Google Business profile, but for yourself, and you
Mhm.
can choose what shows up, your age, your name, your business.
I don't think I know about that. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, so that's good.
And your
So
business
then
has
in
one.
So then in your campaigns, when you do interest campaigns, based campaigns on Google, how when you start with a new client, start with all of the campaigns or a certain
Mm.
campaign and then add to that later, or how does it work?
That's a great question. So it depends what the client wants. A lot of the times we often start with a search. It depends on the strategy too. Actually, we're going to be talking about strategy in our boot camp. That's one of our classes. But yeah, one of the strategies you're faced with determining when you do Google Ads is what you're going to do. And
Yeah.
like mostly search is the search ads are the fundamental beginner, the thing that started Google Ads. We're all still using
Mhm.
those. I would very simply, as strange as it sounds, and maybe 5 years ago I wouldn't have said this. I'd start with a brand campaign probably right out of the gate,
Right. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
that would help me create retargeting, right? Because you have to
Okay.
build your audience. I think you need 1,000 people to your website before it can activate,
Mhm.
so you wanna get that set up right away. We turn on
Mhm.
that's called signals in Google Analytics,
Mhm.
right? And then we would determine, like, if they wanna do interest-based targeting, like, I would first do a search campaign, and then we would probably try a Performance Max, or display comes third. Display would be the interest-based or the Performance Max, and Google
Mhm.
pushes you to do PMax because there's
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
shopping if you're
If you go through
e-commerce.
those if you go through those automated setup wizard things,
Yeah, yeah.
isn't that what it usually
Yeah,
puts
and
you there?
there's so much coming in there. I think how does Facebook help
Yeah.
you create ads for your interest
Yeah.
audiences?
Yeah.
Does it?
So it actually you actually have to make an effort to do an interest-based ad now. You have to go in at the very bottom and click that you want in that interest-based thing. It's really small spot. It's like they're deterring us away from doing that. And it's
Mm,
really quite interesting. I'm not really sure how I feel about it because I don't know enough about the AI part of it, but or what they're doing. And they don't really like the Facebook has really gone away from being narrow targeting to very open targeting and doing a lot of lookalikes. I like lookalikes as long as what they're looking at is narrow and good. But what I found in the last I did a campaign early spring, and I found that the quality of the leads were way down low. So I went in and narrowed up, like I went with Facebook's default at first, and then I went in and narrowed it up. So we went with the default, and it was way too broad. The calls that
yeah.
we were getting were lower quality, or at least that was what the client was saying. So then I
Well,
went
that's
back
important
in.
though.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to ask your clients how the
And
leads are. You can't just send them.
it's your job to get them leads, but it's our job to get good leads in the end by communicating with our clients about what's happening. And that's how you do great
Mhm.
ads, right? You need a
Yeah.
relationship.
So it feels like what they're trying to build on Facebook is something that anybody could use. Like it's become infinitely more complicated in some ways. And then really default settings everywhere
Simple. Google
to
and
make it
Facebook are
simple.
trying to compete for I think Phelan always says, Google looked over at Facebook and was like, "Huh, I wish I could you and not give anybody anything, any options." Where yeah, Google has a lot, but they're taking them away.
Yeah, and I don't really like that because then my value is diminished because what my superpower was getting that targeting right. And that's what I really love doing, and now it's a lot harder. It's especially harder because they've taken away so many categories that we're not allowed to actually target anymore.
Look, I'm
So,
putting this over your head
oh,
because
we've
you're
got it.
here and I think that looks so, Stephen, okay, so first let's say hi to Greg. Hi, Greg. And yes, I'm talking about, I'll send you the link. It's called, what is it called? It's called myaccount.google.com/profile. We all have one. We have one for our business. We can have one personally. Stephen is saying, and
Yeah,
yeah, Greg's really helpful with this
budget,
though. And then Stephen, ooh, what budgets were you looking at for these leads?
budget.
Oh, good question.
Yeah,
Stephen does
so
Facebook ads.
yeah, and this is what I wanna talk about. So I have I'm gonna answer that question in a minute. I wanna ask Pip a question that's been bugging me
Oh,
first, and then we can go back to how we actually do it because I do have a system that I use for budget. So, Pip, when a client says to you, we have a target of 15 calls or 15 leads a week, that's what we want you to get. How do you respond to that in terms of setting expectations and having them understand the process? Because I could use some tips.
Okay. Oh, I love this. Okay. And then we'll answer Steven's question. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
So yes. Okay. So how would I answer that for Google Ads? I want 15 I would say, how many leads are you getting now? And then I would figure out what the percentage. So you want me to get this percentage of leads by what time? Make it that
Week,
SMART
every
goal
week. Yeah.
every week. Okay. Every week. And how are you doing that on Facebook or?
We have a combination of Facebook ads running and Google ads.
Okay. And the outcome is filling in a form. And what were they doing last
No,
year?
the outcome is booking a call on Calendly.
Okay, and
Yeah.
are we tracking the Calendly? Yeah, yeah, I'm
Yes,
sure we
we
are.
are. Yes,
Okay,
we are.
I would say first I would say, "Okay, for sure." And for myself, for Google, I would say, "Okay, let me go. I'm gonna go and find out what the cost per click is," right?
Cost per click.
Average
Exactly.
cost per click. I'm gonna find the average
Yeah.
cost per click, and then I'm gonna
Mhm.
multiply. So if we do the right math equation, it is what you were aiming for is 1 lead, which is 1 lead per 10, right? If
Yeah.
everything is golden. And so
Yeah.
if people come to your landing page and it doesn't work, then you have to fix your landing page. So it could take longer. So how much budget are you going to give me to hit this number?
Mhm.
That's so I can
Well,
I
that's
can
it.
definitely 100% do it. But I need to
Okay.
know the cost per click and because how many clicks do you need to get a lead? And then how many leads do
Mhm.
you want? You want the 5 leads. So they need 50 clicks at how much, right?
Here's the thing, and I work at it a little bit differently. I like the way you
Okay.
think, though. So I worked it a little bit differently. What I like to do is I set up my ads, I test my ads, I get the two parts working together. So we use top funnel interest moving over to the website, and then we retarget. We retarget with Calendly link because they've already educated themselves or they've already looked at the website. So because we were finding when we went directly to Calendly, we got a ton of clicks and not as many bookings. And then of those bookings, the bookings were asking, "What is it that you do?" And then we want them to already know that by then. So we flipped the
Mm,
switch, got them to the website first, and then put them to the Calendly. And that's our strategy. And what I like about it is that it has an actual even Steven number of leads that it provides every week. It's pretty consistent over the last 6 months, but we had a drop sometime around November. We had a drop. November, December, I forgot when. A few months ago, anyways, we had, or maybe it's a little later
is
than that,
that because
actually.
it's a
We
cyclical business potentially?
no, I don't it's not a
Oh,
cyclical business in terms that it actually organizes itself every month. There's new cohort. However, I think that people think about education at particular times of the
I
year.
agree.
So
Yeah.
they look into it. And also, we found out that there's a half drop, like half 50% drop right after the American long weekends every week, like
Oh,
consistently, which was
well, there you
interesting.
go.
But what I know is I like to get them at an even Steven number of whatever it is that they want based on the budget that we have. And then I like to go to the client and say, okay, so this ad spend creates this result. If you want to scale that up to 15, we need to scale up the ad spend because we've got the ads performing at a good click-through rate and the quality of
Interesting.
calls are good. So now this is the time to scale up. So
That's
that's what I'm thinking
I get
to track
questions
it.
like, "What" when you ask, "What budget do you wanna spend?" They're like, "I don't know." I'm like, "Oh, okay, tell me your budget."
We
But,
just need to
yeah,
start. Yeah, we just need to
yeah.
start, and then we can
Let
figure out what we can do from there. So
let's
let's
answer
go back to
Steven's
this.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, let's go back to this questions. How long? Okay, okay.
Wait,
So
wait, wait,
you
no, we
pretty
have
much,
to let's tell everybody.
yeah.
What
Okay.
budget are you
Okay.
looking for at these leads, and how long
Okay.
did it take before they were poor quality? Great question.
Okay. So how I like to work my ads is I actually test them for the first month. So I don't put a huge ad spend out. I put a very small ad spend on things. I'm talking Facebook ads here, not Google ads, but we only start with the minimum amount of Google spend we start with is 500 anyways. Most people, that's where they're starting. With Facebook, I usually start with $20 a day and that's it. And then I test my ads and my landing page to make sure that's converting first. So once I have around, I don't know, it could be 5% click-through rate. When I've got
Mhm.
5% click-through rate on my ad, then I figure, okay, the ad's running. In this particular case, we had a 10% over a 10% click-through rate, so the ad was performing well. That means that you're targeting the right people, everyone's going over to
Messaging
the
is
page.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but then we had huge drop-off immediately on the landing page, like 2-second drop-offs,
Oh,
and we've spent a long time. Yeah, no, it's core vital issues. There are lots of core
slow
vital issues
page.
on the site. Yeah, yeah, really slow to load, confusing navigation, not
Okay.
clear messaging. So we've gone and revamped those pages, and then the calls went back up. We're now sitting at that. So I feel if you really want to do something good with Facebook, you want a minimum $500 to $1,000 ad spend per month commitment, but don't start out with that. Start out slow and get your click through rate on your ad performing first. Figure out the best image, the best title, the best call to action, which usually is learn more no matter what, and the best messaging description or whatever the messaging is. And then once you've got that at a good click-through rate, so I think they say that the average click-through rate on Facebook is 0.04 was the last time I had heard.
Oh,
But
really?
that's super low, and we have to consider that we have a lot of people on Facebook running ads that hit that boost post function, and that's probably in that data too. So we wanna aim for, I don't know, anything between 3 to 5% I think is decent. Anything above that is great.
That's
That's how I would answer that.
I think we had 2 very interesting answers that did a lot of the same thing. I will tell you that actually we've started offering search engine marketing services instead of which is
Oh,
some
yeah.
people confuse that with just Google Ads, but search engine
Okay.
marketing is
Oh,
SEO and
explain that.
Google Ads. Yeah.
Okay.
Or that's how we learned it back in the day because
Yeah.
it's all marketing in the end.
Do you consider shopping ads as part
Yeah.
of that too mix too? Okay.
It's search engine marketing, so SEM, and it encompasses SEO and Google Ads. And the
Mm.
reason we're doing that is because somebody will buy Google Ads from us and we'll set up the campaigns, we'll get them going, and then we'll get great click-through rate and everything will be great, but we'll have this landing page problem. And if we're not creating just a landing page out of the box to get them going over on lead
Mm.
pages or something, we're going to do the speed test and then we're going to recommend, hey, let's stop doing Google Ads for now until we can get your ship a little bit to convert. Your page needs to convert. If your page isn't
Mhm.
converting, then we fix the page and we try, and that's
Mm.
where you have to spend the time, right?
Yeah.
And see what people are doing.
Yeah. So we're in the middle of relaunching a brand new site, and then we'll be able to tell from that how soon we can scale up the ad spend.
Yeah. And the other thing to do is use something like lead pages. I don't know if you use them, but they take out that component
Sorry,
of
I missed
this.
that.
Oh,
What
use like
use
lead
what?
pages
Oh,
or
lead
whatever a
pages.
landing
Yeah.
page is, right? Because
Yeah.
you can pick something that converts more
Yeah,
easily
that's
to
true.
build. You can, but you do need access to the domain to get that
That's
done, right?
true. So we're talking about setting up separate landing pages that function as your website page
Yeah.
so that and they can be dynamic. You can A/B split test them.
Yeah.
They come with
You hide
usually
them from
preformed templates.
Google for Google SEO. You hide them because you don't
Yeah.
want them to downgrade your site necessarily, but you do get to see things in analytics like how a lead jumps, through the sea or the web of the internet to get to you and how many times they visit you. So,
Yeah.
right? To convert. So in the end, I think, it if we're gonna jump back to what targeting and interest and lookalike audience and things, it looks oh wait, Greg's saying something. Uh oh yeah? Can it Greg? What can be
Yeah,
done?
it's true. There is a plugin. He's talking about there's a plugin for WordPress lead pages, I think, or something calls
Oh,
are like that.
we're
And yeah, so at the beginning of the
share it
lead
below.
page plugin, it wasn't particularly good, but it is actually quite developed now so that you don't have to have a third party. You can run it all on your site and your own hosting. You don't need a
Yeah.
third party subscription.
Okay, I want to look at
Yeah,
Greg, will you share that below? And we have 3 minutes to go. So
I
Rena, last
know.
thoughts,
I
last
can't
question.
believe it. I thought we were gonna at 10 minutes after, I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be a lot of time." And then, of course, it always goes by so quick.
because it's always an interesting conversation when you're talking about marketing. But Greg, good point. Share that and anything else that I don't think we mentioned anything else in this, but if you'd like us to share anything else, let us know. And yeah, last thoughts, Rena, on Facebook versus Google. Do you still like Facebook more?
Yeah.
Google more? You wanna combine
No,
them?
I use my proprietary system is a combination of 2 working together with the same strategy, and I think that's what makes ours kick ass, quite frankly. And the first thing, last thought is before you do any kind of ads, get an audit done on your website.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And not one of those ones where you just plug in your information, they send you stuff.
Yeah.
They'd be like, you don't have a
No,
Google
you need
business profile, but you do.
yeah, if your site speed is too slow, it's not you gotta need to fix that before you run ads. That's the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
ideal scenario.
Right. And you want to
Otherwise, you're
measure
shooting
things.
yourself in the foot.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is why we come together because marketing is a group effort and we or search social and websites. Like we got Greg here. He's the expert. We all do all three, I think, but we have like, specialties. Rena,
We have
specialist
favorite
in
bits.
Facebook ads. Yeah, it's the favorites, right? Who could go on and on about Google forever? Anyways, we have to quickly mention before we go, remember that leak? Yeah, I think we might bump some stuff and talk about some stuff in the next week or two about that Google leak. There's lots of opinions. If you want to see a topic, let us know because we're always here every Thursday. And next week, Rena, do you know what we're talking about?
No.
We are talking about security matters with safeguarding your website with Dylan and who's that guy? Who's that guy? I think it's Greg. Anyway,
Really good
that's
question while I'm having a coffee fit.
great. Are you okay? Rena's having an
Mhm.
allergic reaction, but you look beautiful. And we will see you all
Yeah.
next time, everybody. Bye. Have a great day.